Hello, Virgo. Welcome to the Plaid Sheep Oracle. I got this new deck, Divining Poets, and it's the Emily Dickinson edition. I've been pulling a card from that for this series, and your card says, "To be a flower is profound responsibility." I'm not surprised this came out for you, Virgo. Venus is moving through your sign, and she is about to trine Uranus. She squared Uranus from Leo back in July, and now she's going to trine Uranus, and this is a major opportunity for change, for, I think, a kind of evolution for you. I'm actually going to start with the unseen underlying, although I think it isn't really unseen. You are, right? You have been perhaps set in your ways. And this can happen, I think, with all the signs, regardless of whether they're mutable or fixed. You can become set in the ways that you do things. It's interesting, too, that if you're watching this when I post it, the nodes are coming closer to their shift into Pisces and Virgo. That happens on January 25th of 2025. The shift of the North Node into Pisces. And I want to say that, you know, some of this Venusian transit is a bit of a preparation for that. Venus is said to be exalted in Pisces, to be an honored guest there. And so to be in her fall in Virgo. Now, you may have heard me talk about this before, but my view of this sort of, the sign in its domicile and then in its detriment or its exaltation and its fall is more about our perception of the signs and our perception of the planets. You know, what we think of as Venusian energy. It's easy to see how she would move easily and comfortably in Pisces, in this, watery realm that concerns itself with art and music and spirituality. Whereas Virgo is more about precision, about service, right? About things being more, a little more structured, a little more grounded, and definitely more precise. But that is only our perception of Venus and how she can and cannot be, right? It's our discomfort with the Venus energy in Virgo, not Venus's discomfort. Venus is not in her fall in Virgo. Only for us, right? It's how we see her. Virgo has this mercurial element. Mercury is Virgo's guide. And so there's this idea that, body, Venus, and mind, Mercury, are somehow separate, don't mix. But again, that is our perception. And this moment, I think, is giving you, Virgo, the ability to get past that. So this first deck, right, is Boadicea's Tarot of Earthly Delights, first of all. Then we have this Lover's card. So I see this as you, Virgo, you're the man in this scenario. You've been seeing yourself as having to be with this person who theoretically matches you, kind of wearing similar clothes, you come from similar backgrounds, these kinds of things. Then there's this person who is, apparently very different, very free, very open, operating from intuition and instinct. This is absolutely available to you, Virgo, for a couple of reasons. One, because, right, Mercury and Venus actually are proof that air and earth can combine, right? With Mercury as Virgo's guide and Venus as Libra's guide. There is no reason that Venus cannot move quite happily through the element of air and Mercury move quite happily through the element of earth. We put these limits on them. I mean, Mercury especially. He is, right, he's a psychopomp. He's the god that could move in and out of the underworld easily and without needing any special permissions. Also, he is an integral part of the Persephone story, which has been showing up a bunch of times. And I have a retelling of it, which is that when Persephone eats the pomegranate seeds, she integrates her shadow. She integrates those aspects of herself and realizes that she doesn't have to just be this little goddess of spring who wanders around picking flowers. She is queen of the underworld. Right? She has all this power, especially erotic power. Right? I mean, she attracted Pluto, king, god of the underworld. And she comes to understand that. So she's moving now, right? She's moving through Virgo. And, right, you may be feeling, right, like a sparking of your own Eros. He was just moving through Virgo. I think that he has maybe just crossed over into Libra. I'm actually not sure. He may, in fact, still be in the last degrees of Virgo. Right? It's like somebody's relit your pilot light, Virgo. One of the meanings, you've probably heard this, of the word virgin, right? The word means various different things depending on the time period and the context. But the Vestal virgins, who are right there, that's sort of the Virgo virgin that we're talking about, were dedicated to something. And that dedication earned them self-sovereignty. The ability to choose for themselves what they wanted. And then we have this Seven of Combustion, which in this deck is all about seeing through the smoke and mirrors. Seeing through any conditioning you've had, any rules you think apply to you, either because of how you grew up, what people told you about yourself, And even, you know, through the spiritual sphere, right? If you learned early on that you had these Virgo placements, and so that meant that you were X, Y, and Z. We have to be very careful about this stuff. You know, there's a new baby in my family, and I did have a look at his natal chart when I learned the time of his birth, but I have not said anything to his parents. Nor would I say anything to him until he was much, much older and could really understand and be capable of understanding all the nuances and the ways that these energies work together and can express. Right? We can get stuck in some version of ourselves. And then we have the Magician, associated with Mercury, and for me, both with Gemini and Virgo. And here shown as a woman. So that, right, this Venus connection. And whether you are a man or a woman, Venus is about the erotic in your life, about the sensual, about the artistic. I do know a Virgo artist, Virgo sun artist. You know, and she is very particular about her art, but she is also very open in that way. And then we get Justice. I think here, really representing Venus in her Libra aspect. Right? There's all kinds of things going on here. She's, right? There's snakes in here. There's fire and ice. There's a storm in the background. Right? She has the head of a bird. Right? There's kind of a martial thing going on there, but she's also in a dress. There's red. Her spear is red. So all the ways in which things can combine and things can express. Virgo, I think you are having a kind of erotic awakening. And that isn't solely about sex. It may include sex. But just the Eros of life, the physicality, the sensuality, how you enjoy life, how you enjoy your own body, how you enjoy your interaction with the world. And with this Nid card next, when I first learned about runes, this says shadows and nutrients. When I first learned about the runes, I learned of this as the need fire. Right, that in northern communities, you built a fire and you kept it going. Right, it's because, right, there's more of that Vesta energy. The, you know, there it was a sacred flame, right, in Rome. The heart of Rome, kind of. But certainly in the northern places where it got cold and dark, it was about need. You needed the fire to survive. What are your needs, Virgo? Like your erotic, physical needs. Below this card is the untamable, or right, the inner animal We all have animal bodies. And actually below that is earthly power. The bottom of the deck has this willful resistance. And you may have resisted some of this. You may have resisted the needs of your own body. Virgo is a sign associated with the body and the health of the body. But that can go wrong, or it can become very mechanical or very scripted or, very regimented. You get up at exactly 6 a.m. and then you run for 2 miles, and then you eat exactly 4 ounces of oatmeal, and you write whatever it is. It can become that way rather than being a relationship with the body, really feeling what you need on a given day. So we have yarn entwined. And this is, you are entwined with your erotic body. It is integral to you, whether you have enjoyed it or not. And then we have this Explore, Alchemize card. And that's sort of a bit of advice coming out. To explore these things. And this could involve, you are Virgo, it could involve doing a little research. There is all sorts of interesting stuff on the web about Eros, about sensual practices to do alone or in company. To explore your very particular tastes around things. Virgo is kind of the archetype of the dominatrix, and not in in an angry way. I have heard the dominatrix described by a favorite author of mine, Kasia Urbaniak, as somebody who is very particular. And her job, kind of in your life as an archetype, is to defend and dictate your preferences. Right? So if you have, for example, a preference for quiet when you're having breakfast, that you like to, be in silence, your dominatrix would step up to ensure that you received this from your family or whoever you're with. Right? The dominatrix is not a punisher. She does dictate, but she dictates from love, from desire. So to explore these various ideas, right? Then we have fire of life, sacred fires bind to you, weaving new knowledge between yourselves, through yourselves, igniting and relighting the life that left lost. The dragon's breath fuels and drives and delivers sacred enlightenment. Right? There's more of that fire. And also, right, the Uranian fire. Right? The fire of lightning. And then we have or Ewaz, to move. It's also a rune of partnership. It's the rune of the horse. And if you know horse people, the good horse people, the people who have really good relationships with their horses, are in partnership. You know, they don't tug at the reins or, you know, hit horses with a crop and these sorts of things, right? The communication is very subtle. Some people will tell you that if you work with a horse and you really get to know each other, that you end up with a telepathic connection. So this connectedness between mind and body, right? If we see that, right, that metaphor of human and horse as mind and body. And also, you know, partnership with other people. Maybe with a romantic partner. If you have one, this could be a whole revitalizing of your romantic life, of your erotic life with your partner. Where are you really talking about your needs, Virgo? And you can be as specific and as particular as your little Virgo heart desires. So we have then the 10 of fire. And for me, this card is, you know, about going into the woods, kind of. You're following this trail of candles. And then there's this little cardinal right here who's waiting to guide you further into the woods. Now, surrounding this on the bottom of the deck is the Craftsman of Air. And this could be like a very Virgo card. Really thinking about things, using the intellect. And this has its place. But then directly underneath is the 9 of water. Mastery of emotion and the emotional body. And if you can allow these things to work together, you can have a rebirth. Right, a rebirth that has, right, this kind of 2 of fire, this combining also more serpent energy going on here. And then this 3 of air, taking off whole new ideas that might come to you as a result of this process. Right? Our sexuality, our Eros is also part of our creativity. When we cut that off, we cut off our access to full creative possibility. But this can allow you to lift off, can allow your thoughts to go in directions that they never have before, possibly. And so we have the 3 of Pentacles works. Right? This combined working. This new relationship between mind and body. Because Eros, you know, lives in all of these spaces. I have a friend who, you know, the essence of attractiveness for her is not someone's physical appearance, it's their mind, how they use their mind, right? What kind of conversations she can have with them, right? That's the first spark of attraction for her. It might be different for you, right? If you have Eros in Taurus, it could be that you're really very attracted to someone who is very physical, very sensual, right? It may be about the body. So it's all right. We're all individual. We all have our own, right? Our own needs, our own desires. Below that is the Hierophant. Traditionally associated with Taurus. Here kind of showing up a little bit as many fixed signs. But really earthy images. He is associated with Taurus. Yeah. So Venus's home space, along with, right, with Libra. And interestingly, that it is the Hierophant and not the Empress. So again, this right here, it is a man. Right? So it isn't really about man, woman, right? It's everybody. The bottom here is science, Six of Swords. The movement of a mental construct. The ability to change your mind, to evolve your thinking process. And to experiment. Science is about experimentation. Try stuff. Explore. So we have these two interesting cards here. We have the Knight of Cups. In this deck, he sits in the king position. But right here, he is bringing you this cup. And then there's this Princess of Swords who seems to be trying to beat him back. So maybe this has been showing up for you, perhaps for a little while now. I mean, we have been talking, haven't we, Virgo, through this channel of, you know, you kind of breaking out of the societal idea of the, right, the Virgo mold. Of, you know, really enjoying yourself, of perhaps spontaneity, of, you know, other possibilities of the sensual body. But it may be that you've been, right, that you have been resisting, right, this resistance. This, you know, kind of set in your ways. This default position of using the intellect. Right, intellectualizing feelings, intellectualizing Eros. And then we get this Seven of Swords, which says futility. And the first thing that popped into my head when I saw it was resistance is futile. Resistance is futile. And it's true, when Uranus is involved, resistance is, if it's not futile, it can certainly be painful. But beyond that is this Ace of Swords, right, that has this kind of feeling, right? This revelation, this inspiration, this sudden aha moment. And that may be what is happening to you now. I'm doing this reading it on the 26th, and we'll release it on the 27th, and that is the day of the Venus-Uranus trine. So it may be that this will happen soon after you've seen this, perhaps even before you've seen this, or it may be something that does kind of develop a little bit, because we are dealing with Taurus and Virgo earth signs. The revelation may take a little while to really become full in your mind, but it's coming. Advice, Virgo. The Chariot. Get ready to go. And this particular chariot, which says Psyche. And the card, for the card, it's, you know, it's kind of the meaning of Psyche is mind and soul. But, right, it's Psyche and Eros. That's the love story. Psyche, who is the mind, goes on a bunch of quests, one of which actually takes her to the underworld. There's another underworld connection there, to get something from Persephone, actually. And that's her final task, right? These are given to her by Eros' mother, Venus. So there is, right, maybe you have been maybe you've been going through some things. You've had kinds of tasks that maybe you didn't know were tasks. They were just experiences you were having that have led you into a more open space. Because below that, we have this Knight of Swords. And this Knight of Swords for me is always, well, almost always, about this mind-body connection. Because we have the Knight of Swords, this mental image, but then we have this dragon who kind of, he doesn't look as if he's attacking, really. He's breaking that fourth wall of tarot to look at us. Kind of saying, yes, you know, he's all defensive now. He looks, right, like he wants to fight back, but just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Right? This serpentine energy, right, of Eros, of seduction, of sex. Now, interestingly, below that, we have this Four of Swords, and maybe you've been attempting, right? There's a kind of, right, the prayer, the purity, the, you know, kind of thing, right? So you're right, you're fighting back. But below this is this Ten of Wands. The phoenix rising out of the flames. And Scorpio, you know, is sextile your sign. That's a working partnership kind of relationship. It's a water sign. And Scorpio's traditional guide is Mars. Right? Mars and Venus. And she will, later this year, make her way into Scorpio. If you have a Virgo placement, there may be a sextile that happens then with Venus. Right? This more scorpionic energy. Now, the bottom of the deck, interestingly, are the King of Cups reappearing with the Queen of Wands, fire and water. There's some alchemy right there. Often in tarot, when you get tarot readings, when you have a king and a queen of the same suit appear, for people this will mean a partnership, particularly a romantic one. But I think the real power couples are when we get different combinations, like the King of Cups and the Queen of Wands together. The King of Wands actually does come out here in your advice. So there may indeed be a romantic component to this. Whether you are meeting somebody or whether you are revitalizing the romance and Eros in the partnership that you have. So we have the Tower. Resistance is futile. Uranus is here in the house. And so we have, right, so we have this Hanged Man who I feel like has been hanging there, really sort of maybe zoning out. He spent a lot of time in this hanging position, so he's gotten really comfortable there. And then this Tower, and it's a wake-up moment for him. All like, oh, it's time to get down. It's time to get down. And he is associated with water, and for me, really with Pisces. So another nod to the nodal shift that's coming. And we actually, later this year, we will have, in September, the first eclipse associated with that nodal shift. There will be a full moon in Pisces that is a partial eclipse. So it's like a little taste of the nodal movement that doesn't actually happen until next year. And that happens on September 17th, I think. So then we have the King of Wands. And this feels to me a bit like the development of this character, right? Because he's got the dragon on his shield. He started out as this Knight of Wands. He was really intellectual. He was really maybe obsessed with purity of mind, of intellect, of life, of doing things exactly the right way. Right, the pure knight. And then he meets the dragon. And he learns things. And he recognizes that and takes the dragon as his symbol. He evolves into this King of Wands. Who has wisdom and intellect. He does, right? It's a masculine energy. Intellect is there, the intellectual inspiration, but also the ability to act and the passion. And so the last card is this Five of Swords. The remaking of thoughts. The changing of thoughts. The moving, right? We have this set in our ways. We have resistance. We have, maybe too much kind of intellectual thing. But then we have the ability to shift and change, right? To rework our own thoughts. And to do it in concert with the body, right? This is the body involved in the remaking of the thoughts, right? The reforging of the swords into a different format. Virgo, I'm excited for you. Are you excited? I hope so. I'm looking forward to see. I feel as if this is a sort of a climax, perhaps, to the journey you've been on this year. And that, something really new is going to come as you move into this new awareness, this new mode of being. I wish you the very, very best, and I will see you next time. So long, Virgo.